A research team arrives at the Kola Peninsula. Their purpose is to investigate an incident that occurred 12 kilometers underground. This incident resulted in dozens of missing people. The Colonel's intelligence mentioned the discovery of an unknown virus underground. Headquarters ordered the drilling base sealed within 24 hours. However, they still had time to conduct investigations. But as soon as the plane landed, they saw someone walking toward them with a grenade. Seeing no way to stop that person, the soldiers had to open fire. But strangely, that person, despite being shot multiple times, stood up as if nothing happened. Just when everyone was in shock, the person pulled the grenade pin. Fortunately, the explosion didn't cause other casualties. Through investigation, they learned this person was a doctor rescued from underground. From his appearance, it seemed he wanted to die with everyone. No one knew why he would do such a thing. Anna, the virologist, found unfamiliar fungi growing on the body. The fungi turned to white ash after leaving the flesh. Seeing this, Anna prepared to examine other staff members. But as soon as she got in the car, someone advised her to leave immediately.
Go back to your family while you still have time. It's hell down there.
By the time examination results came out, it was night. Those staff members had no problems. However, their expressions showed they had been frightened. Only the dead doctor's results were abnormal. Anna lacked professional equipment. She couldn't determine the cause.
It may not be just a disease.
To investigate what happened underground, the research team planned to go down with the base director. According to whistleblower Ben, the main responsibility for this accident was the director's problems. Facing the inquiry, the director didn't refute him. He only explained it was a helpless act. The colonel didn't want to bring him along, but the director had changed the elevator password. Ben said it would take time to crack it.
I really have a hard time working at gunpoint. I get it 3 times, and the elevator falls down.
The group took the first elevator to the 6-kilometer position. That was the staff living area. However, when the elevator descended halfway, the director pulled the rapid descent handle. Everyone passed out due to oxygen deprivation. He remained conscious with an oxygen tank. When everyone woke up, the director had disappeared with the key. It turned out the password was a decoy. Only the key could start the elevator. Ben guessed the director was still on this level, because to go to 12 kilometers, besides the elevator, there was also the walking passage. But the walking passage required heat protective suits. Since the elevator was still here, the director probably hadn't left. Soon searching soldiers found 2 other staff members, maintenance worker Nikolai and Dr. Sergey. Neither knew where the director had gone. The director only told them to stay put and wait. After examination, they found no abnormal signs. The colonel knew the director must know something. He wanted to find him and force answers out. Since Anna and the colonel were from different departments, her task was to find samples of the unknown virus. However, based on current situation, there was no virus here. She asked the colonel what the real purpose was. The colonel told her not to ask questions, just follow. After the colonel left, the director approached Anna. He told Anna to return to the surface immediately, because underground was no longer safe. But before he could finish, soldiers discovered him and opened fire. The director, wounded, escaped downward in the elevator. Now the director was injured, and time was running out. To get the truth, they had to catch him quickly. The colonel had Nikolai crack the elevator to the 2nd level, while sending soldiers through the walking passage to arrest the director. But when they came to the door, the iron gate was welded shut. Just when they cut it open and prepared to go down, the door in front automatically opened. A naked woman walked out. You should know that in 200-degree heat, one couldn't survive 5 minutes without protection. How could she walk up safely? What was more bizarre was when Anna examined her. She found her body temperature was terrifyingly high. When she opened her clothes, it left Anna stunned. The woman's back was covered with fungi, still growing. Anna extracted a piece from her back and put it in a test tube. Through microscope observation, she discovered the growth rate of this fungus was beyond imagination. Without thinking, she knew this was the sample she was looking for. But this also made Anna afraid, because as a virologist, she knew well, once this virus-like fungus reached the outside, it could destroy the world.
Listen. Fungi and mold are the least studied forms of life. And this one is unknown to
The colonel
science.
was satisfied after learning this. He immediately announced the mission was successfully completed.
I started the lift. It'll take about an hour to get to our level.
However, just when they cracked the elevator and were waiting, the radio transmitted a distress call from soldiers who went to arrest the director. They could only hear gunshots and screams. Clearly, the soldiers had encountered danger. At the same time, the director's voice came through the loudspeaker. Previously, he had told everyone to leave this place. Everyone didn't take it seriously, now that they had contacted the fungus. It was impossible to leave. After saying this, he blew up the walking passage upward. This explosion damaged the pressure pump. If they couldn't get out after 1 hour, this place would be crushed. Since it would take another hour for the elevator to come down. Nikolai could only try to crack another elevator. He wanted to use rapid descent to reach 12,000 kilometers. Only by finding the director on the second level and getting the key could they make the first level elevator descend rapidly here. At this time, Anna thought of something. She called Major Oleg to the medical room. Just arriving at the door, they saw something had happened here. When Oleg opened the door to look, he found the room was covered with fungi. The woman was also covered by fungi. Although she had lost human form, it was still alive. Anna wanted to collect fungal samples, but was scared back by expanding bubbles. Oleg had to take the tweezers to help. Unexpectedly, he was sprayed with spores on his face. Anna was fortunate to have covered her mouth and nose, seeing spores were about to fill the room. Anna found a gas mask in the corner. Just when she put it on and prepared to go out, she saw that Dr. Sergey had also been infected. His ribs had turned into spikes. The whole person had lost sanity like a zombie. Fortunately, Sergey moved slowly. This gave Anna a chance to escape. She found a fire extinguisher to disperse spores in front of the door. With Nikolai's help, she successfully escaped. Anna was fine, but Oleg wasn't so lucky. He had been infected by the fungus. With the experience just now, Anna also guessed this fungus seemed to control humans. At this time, Ben also indicated this fungus should spread like cordyceps. For example, after one ant gets infected, it would control it to return to the nest and release spores, then spread throughout the ant colony. Anna suddenly thought of something. She called the colonel to the cold storage, then took out the fungus she collected. As a result, in less than a few seconds, the fungus in the test tube turned into white powder. It turned out this fungus was afraid of low temperatures. When it left the human body and encountered cold, it would instantly die. She asked the colonel to contact the rescue team. Only this way could save the major's life. However, the colonel said there was no backup because they came to execute a secret mission. These words left Anna speechless. She immediately indicated she couldn't preserve the fungal sample. The colonel didn't care after hearing this, since the virus sample couldn't be taken away alone. They could take Major Oleg this sample for research. It turned out the Soviet Union was on the verge of dissolution. If they could make this fungus into a biological weapon, the situation would be reversed.
There are people up there. You'll bring him right to the nest.
However, the colonel just said, execute orders, leaving Anna helpless. Just when everyone was preparing to dig through the walking passage, the captain's voice came through the radio again.
Don't open any door. Stay inside. Even if it's just outside. I repeat, do not open the door.
But to leave, they had to pass through here. The colonel sent out 3 soldiers for reconnaissance. But soon they heard gunfire not far away. Only 2 soldiers returned. One of them said, through the firelight, he could see that thing was very large. Even after a full magazine, it didn't fall down. Most critically, the upward passage was blocked by huge rocks, with no way to excavate.
Fuck, if the shaft is gone and we don't have the elevator key, then we are stuck in here.
Just when everyone didn't know what to do, a soldier with a severed hand staggered toward them. At the same time, terrible roars came from behind him. Under everyone's gaze, that soldier decisively ended his suffering with a knife. Seeing this scene, everyone was frightened and quickly closed the iron door. The soldier who had been unconscious also woke up, but his first words made everyone feel chilled.
You shouldn't have opened the door. Now it knows where we are.
As soon as he finished speaking, banging sounds came from outside the door. The group could only escape to the second elevator entrance, far from the iron door. Coincidentally, the second elevator had returned to this level. Now the only hope was to start it and go to the 12,000-kilometer laboratory. Nikolai had an idea, but it involved great risk. That was to force the elevator to descend. During the fall, activate the emergency brake. At this time, there was no sound from the iron door, as if broken open by that thing. To buy more time for Nikolai, Major Oleg and 2 soldiers decided to go forward and block the passage. However, when screams came from the passage, Nikolai still hadn't found a way to force the elevator to descend. Fortunately, he succeeded at the critical moment. The process was exactly as Nikolai had planned. The emergency brake system successfully slowed the elevator's descent. When the group walked out, they found the laboratory had been frozen. Only now did Anna understand. It turned out the director did all this to prevent the fungus from appearing on the surface. The dozens of missing people might have been infected long ago, so the director gave up on them. After inspection, they found a gunfight had occurred here, but strangely, there wasn't a single corpse. However, they soon saw a terrifying scene on the wall. All the corpses were frozen into the wall, and they were all infected and fused together by the fungus. It seemed these were those missing people. At this time, Ben pressed the recorder. They learned from the recording. The director had spent half his lifetime building the base, but after digging up the fungus, he only wanted to blow up the base. He said this fungus had existed millions of years ago. The Ice Age stopped its growth. If left unchecked, it would sooner or later appear on the surface. Because the fungus was slowly evolving, it had now learned to use multiple bodies fused together to maintain temperature. At the end of the recording, the director said he wanted to see the monster's true appearance before dying. This meant he had walked out of the laboratory. Outside the laboratory was 200-degree heat. The director had destroyed the cooling system of protective protective suits before going out. If wearing only the protective suit, one could last at most 5 minutes. Now there was a problem. To get the key, they had to go out and find the director's corpse. Originally Anna wanted to go out and get the key, but the colonel said he would handle this dangerous task.
Grigoriev was right. It all has to stay here.
At this time, he also understood this fungus could not be brought to the surface.
People up there need you more than me.
After saying this, the colonel walked out of the laboratory, but as time passed, he still hadn't returned. They knew the colonel was most likely in danger. Anna stepped forward once again. She decided to go out and retrieve the key. Fortunately, the colonel was lying just 10 meters from the door. However, when Anna just picked up the key, she found her vision was blocked by mist, unable to distinguish direction. She had to remove her mask. In that instant, she was shocked by the scene before her. She saw the fungus appearing before her like hellish lava. That indescribable fear made her instinctively want to flee. In the 200-degree heat, she stayed for less than half a minute. These seconds had made her entire body red. When the key was finally retrieved, Ben threatened her with a gun to hand it over. Nikolai wanted to play tricks to seize the weapon, but was shot in the leg by Ben. It turned out he wanted to bring the fungus back to the surface, to become a world-renowned scientist. The reason Ben didn't choose to eliminate them directly was because there were still terrible things on this level. He wanted to use the two to buy himself escape time. Since Nikolai's leg was injured and he couldn't walk, Ben had Anna lead the way to another elevator. Even though he was already careful, he was still ambushed by the monster hiding in darkness. Anna didn't dare look closely and quickly fled into the cafeteria. The monster, after devouring Ben, also followed. This huge monster was formed by a group of people fused together. It was covered with torsos and heads, and the people on it were all still alive. Every step the monster took, they would emit painful screams. Anna knew the monster was afraid of cold, so she went to the cold storage room. Looking at the frozen food around her, she knew this place was safe. But staying here forever wasn't a solution. At this time, the ice water nearby caught her attention. She thought this was the only way now. Then she drank strong liquor, immediately raised the ice water and poured it on herself. After her body temperature dropped, she walked out of the freezer. Although the monster sensed Anna's presence, because Anna's body temperature was too low, it didn't choose to devour her. She took the opportunity to go under the monster and took the key from Ben, then went back to bring Nikolai, preparing to take the first elevator. At this time, the wall suddenly exploded. That monster appeared before them. The two didn't dare stay and ran toward the elevator, but after finally entering the elevator door couldn't close due to malfunction. Fortunately, it returned to normal at the critical moment. Unexpectedly, Oleg was still alive. Even though he had been infected by spores beyond recognition, he still had consciousness. He begged Anna to let him find relief. Seeing Oleg had become so terrifying, Anna felt perhaps they shouldn't return to the surface.
I can go up. I need to enter the wrong code 3 times.
But Nikolai didn't think so. He just wanted to escape this place quickly. One wanted to prevent world destruction, one wanted to survive. Just when Anna was about to be strangled, Oleg transformed like Kimimaro and killed Nikolai. In the end, Anna fulfilled Oleg's wish. She was also infected by the sprayed spores, but just when she was about to activate the self-destruct program, the elevator was controlled by higher authority. When Anna woke up again, she found herself back on the surface. She grabbed a grenade from a soldier. After getting off the vehicle, she saw a familiar scene. At the end of the film, Anna pulled the pin on the grenade.